Hi everybody and Happy New Year. I am here today to share with you my first project for 2025. It is a little bit delayed as I have been recovering from COVID, unfortunately, but here is my first little project. Now I'm going to show you the box and then I'll show you the album inside and then we'll get into a quick tutorial. So I have this little wooden book box here that I have decorated with graphic 45 Merry and Bright. This book box is made from MDF and it is available for purchase on my website and in my Etsy shop. So this is what it will look like whenever you have it assembled and not decorated. I did go ahead and use Sharpie marker to color mine. You can paint it as well, but I just used a marker on mine. This is made from MDF and you can get this on my website in two different ways. Now, if you want me to assemble it for you so that everything is like this and just ready to go, it is a little bit more expensive because it does take me the time to sit and put it together. Or if you would like to do this yourself, these are all the pieces that you will get and they're pretty easy to assemble. You just snap these pieces in, but you do need to glue it together to keep it as one piece. If you are planning on covering your book with papers like this, I would actually recommend that you purchase it unassembled so that you can use the pieces as a template. But if you are just going to paint your box and you just want it to be assembled, you can go ahead and purchase it like this. For my book box, I just went ahead and used a scrap piece of my 12 by 12 patterns and solids and then a piece of the 12 by 12 paper and one of my chipboard tags, as well as one of the stickers here. There is a piece of 12 by 12 here. This is the patterns and solids, and then one of the final pieces from my album here. For the album, which will be the tutorial, I only used 8 sheets of 8 by 8 paper and then a couple of pieces of chipboard and some stickers to decorate. So I'm going to set my box aside and we're going to come into the album. Now you can make this album very quickly. It didn't take a lot of time. It's pretty easy. It doesn't really have a binding system and it's just made out of 3 pages of black cardstock and then a couple of extra pages for the photo mats. So very simple, very quick. I will say if you don't like the look of the gator mouth here, then you will need to adjust here on your hinges and leave a little tiny gusset on your pieces. That way you have a little bit of extra room and then you'd have to put a piece of paper on your spine to cover it, but it can be done. I'm going to do a really quick flip through of the actual book itself, not a detailed one because the tutorial will go through everything, but just to give you an idea about what you are going to make if you decide to follow along. So I've got my frame here with the chipboard piece and a sticker popped up on some cardstock. I do have a black piece of cardstock here. It's got a tab so it will pull out of the frame to place your photo. Then flipping here, we've got an inside pocket with 3 little photo mats or journaling spots. We've got a larger pocket here that has a larger tag in it. Another pocket here with 3 small photo mats. On here, there's room for a full-size photo here. So the idea would be that you've got smaller photos and larger photos. Another larger photo spot here. Belly band here with 1 little photo mat, room for the photo. There is a photo mat in the pocket. This pocket has 3 little photo mats, a sticker here, again, room for a photo, another large photo mat in the pocket. This belly band has 2 pieces underneath of it, and then this pocket has 3 small cut apart cards with some stickers here. And then the back, I just added the decorative strip, but you could leave that plain if you wanted to put another photo. So overall, this has a bunch of stuff tucked into it, about 23 places for photos or for journaling. So lots of room here for all of your Christmas memories. So if you are interested in learning how to make this quick little photo book, then stay tuned for the rest of the tutorial. And if you are interested in purchasing the book box to make your own, it's linked in the description box below. Also, if you are interested in purchasing this completed book box with that little tiny album in it, I'm going to be listing this for sale on my website. So click on that link to purchase this and just put all of your photos in it and be done. So stay tuned for the tutorial next. To make my pages for my album, I'm going to use 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I've got my pieces already cut here, but first I scored at 1/2 inch and 4.5 inches across the 8.5 inch side. Then I've cut this in half so that this is 5.5, and I have 4 pieces like this, and then I've gone ahead and folded these to make my pages. Now I have my pages folded. I'm just going to leave those all 4 folded like that. Then I've taken a 3rd piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I have scored this at 1/2 and 4.5, but then I've trimmed 1.5 inches off. So this is 7 inches. And then I've cut this in half so that these are 5.5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and fold these same way on both of these score lines, and these are going to be my front and back covers. Next, I'm going to start with one of my cover pieces, and I'm going to apply my adhesive to the entire 1/2 inch tab, and I am not mitering the ends on my tabs here like I would normally do when I make my larger mini albums. So I'm going to take one of my pages, making sure that the flap is on the left-hand side, and I'm going to take my flap here, and I'm just going to place this right on the front, and I'm going to make sure everything is lined up nice and straight, and then I'll burnish this down. Now I'm going to take my page here and apply my adhesive to my 1/2 inch tab. And then I'm going to take my second page set, make sure that my tab is on the left side, line everything up so everything is straight, and then burnish this down. And then I'm going to add my adhesive here to my 1/2 inch tab on the second page. Taking and making sure the tab for the 3rd page is on the left-hand side, lining everything up, and then burnishing this down. Then I'll take my adhesive on my 1/2 inch tab for my 3rd page, and I've got my 4th page here with my tab on the left-hand side, lining everything up and burnishing this down. Now for the final one, this will be my cover. I actually do not need to have this tab, so I'm going to cut this tab off because we already have a tab here on the back of this page. I'm going to take my adhesive and apply it to the back of my 1/2 inch tab on my 4th page. And now that the tab is cut off of my cover page, I'm going to make sure that the flap is on the right, and then I'm going to set this. I'm going to turn this over, line everything up, and then burnish this down. I have my envelope punch board here. I'm going to open up, so this is my front cover. I'm going to open up my 1st page, and I'm going to punch it on here. You can punch on either side, but I'm going to punch mine on my fronts. I'm going to line up this score line with the 2. That'll put this in the center because my page is 4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and punch that so the front page will have the notch in it. I'm going to move on to the 2nd page and do the same thing here. And then 3rd page. And my 4th page. Now, if you don't have an envelope punch board and you want to do this, you can use a circle punch and use the half of the circle punch to get that notch. It'll just be like a half crescent shape there. all my pages here. And now I have the base of my album ready, so I can go ahead and move this out of the way. And I'm actually going to just go ahead next and adhere my pages closed. So I'm going to adhere very thin line of adhesive down the side and across the bottom. And then just close that page up. And I'll repeat this with all 4 pages. Now I'm starting off with each of these 4 8x8 papers. I have cut the bottom portion to 5 1/4 inches, and then I've cut one piece of each of the papers that measures 3 3/4. I used my envelope punch board to notch the center of each piece. I'm going to place this one here on the front of this page. Then I'm going to place this one on the front of the second page, this one on the front of the third page, and this one on the front of the fourth page. Now starting on the inside front cover, I've cut this piece that I had left over. It was one of the full pieces like this. I've cut 1 3/4. I'm going to place this here. Then I'm going to place adhesive across the top and bottom of here and close this. And then I have the other part of this, the other piece that I've cut to 2 1/4 inches, and I'm going to place it here on the front. Now flipping over to the back side of page 1, I have a couple of different pieces here. So this I cut from the strip that was 8 inches across, and I have cut this to the width, so it was 2 3/4. It's going to go here, but first I've cut a piece here that's going to be a pocket, and it just happens to be 2 1/4 by 4 inches. So it's going to go down here at the bottom. Then I've taken a piece of my red that was across the top of the page, that 2 3/4 inch piece, and I've cut this to 3 3/4 by 2 inches to fit my pocket here. Now, if your pocket is a different size, I'm just using scraps that I had left over of cardstock. If you have a different size, you can cut your papers differently. But I'm going to be placing this here, and I'm going to be tucking this down here just slightly underneath of it, like this. And I have from my paper that had all of the border strips, I've cut this piece, and I've just cut all the border strips for different things, and I've just left these 3 pieces intact. So this is 3 3/4, and I'm going to be placing it up here at the top. So I'm just going to make sure that this paper goes on first. Since I need it to be covering the back part, I have the pocket that's going to go over the bottom, and then that border strip that's going to go over the top. How I'm going to do this is I'm going to set this where the pocket is going to be, and then I'm just going to put this a little bit below it so that the pocket will cover that, and I know that that is in place. Then I'm going to take this piece and apply my adhesive across the bottom and the 2 sides, leaving the top portion open. Being careful where I place this so it's not too far into this score line. And if you're ever not sure, you can always just close the page and make sure it still closes. And then I'm going to apply this here and this piece here at the top. Once the back of page 1 is done, I'm going to flip over to the back of page 2. Now for the back of page 2, I have this piece of the green paper. Now we've cut the piece of this. So this was the piece that was left over. And I've cut this into 2 pieces that measure 1 1/4 inches. I'm going to put 1 on each side of the page. And then I have a black belly band that measures 1 1/2 inches. So I'm going to adhere the top and the bottom of this down, place it in the center. And then I have these border strips here that I have cut to 5 1/4 inches, and I'm going to place this here on my belly band. Once the back of page 2 is covered, I'm going to go to the back of page 3. From the top portion of this paper, I've cut my piece to 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. I'm going to place this here first. Then I have a piece of my black cardstock that measures 2 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to be adhering this down here, the top, the bottom, and the right side to make a pocket. And then I have this piece here. It was the leftover piece from this, and I've cut a 2-inch piece that I'm going to place here on the front of my pocket. Once page 3 is done, I'm going to flip over to the back side of page 4. I have this paper first. I did trim it down so it's 3 3/4. It's going to go here. Then I have a piece of cardstock that I'm going to make a belly band out of. It is 4 inches by 1 1/2, and I'm going to place it in the center. Then I've cut a piece of my red paper from across the top, and it is 3 3/4 by 1 1/4. It will go here in the center of my belly band. And then I've trimmed these little border strip pieces down to, it's a little bit more than 3 3/4 because it actually goes Merry Christmas to Merry Christmas. So you can see there's 3 of them, so I didn't want to cut any of the letters off. Now I'm going to place this here in the center of my belly band. Then for over here, I have this final piece of paper that was the back side of this, that I'm going to be using this piece, and it is about 2 1/4 inches. I'm going to place it here. Then I'm going to apply adhesive to the top and the bottom of that flap and close it to form a pocket. And then from the piece that was across my paper here, I've cut this down so it measures 2 1/4 inches, and it's going to go here. So 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to adhere all of these pieces down. Next, I'm going to work on my front and back covers. So I've taken my 8 by 8 paper and I've done the same thing. I've cut the bottom piece. So this is 5 1/4 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to place one on the front and one on the back. Then for the back, I've cut this border strip to 3 3/4, and I'm going to place it down here towards the bottom. And then for the front, I've got some of my chipboard pieces left over. If you don't have chipboard, you can choose one of the little decorations here from one of these pages or from any of your leftover pieces. I'm going to be using those to decorate the inside too, but you can pick any one you want. I have this chipboard frame. Now you can use any chipboard too if you have chipboard but you don't have this piece left, and you're just going to layer up some stuff on the front cover. Now for me, I'm going to adhere the frame down across the sides and the bottom, and I've created a little black mat that's going to tuck down in here and be removable. And from my sticker sheet, I am going to be using one of these little tabs to put on the top so that it's easy to pull this out to place a photo. I'm going to place my chipboard Joy tag down here at the bottom, overlapping the upper portion here. And then I've taken this sticker, I've backed it onto some cardstock, and I'm going to place this here like this. Now I am going to have it hang over the edge just slightly. There is enough room in my box to do this, but I want to make sure I don't have too much hanging out, so just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere all of this down, and then we'll start working on the things on the inside. Now I have gone ahead and added quite a bit of stuff to the inside of my book, and I'm going to go through and show you all the different things that I have added, but you will notice that it's quite chunky here, and it does have that gator mouth effect. I am okay with that just based on how I'm making this. If you don't like that though, you would have to put small gussets in each of those tabs on your pages, and you could prevent that and your book would sit flat. So coming on the inside, I used some of my stickers to decorate. So I put one here, and then I've used those cut apart pages. I've just cut the pieces apart and I've made my little photo mats and my journaling cards to match that. So in this one, I have tucked, they're all blank on the back so you can place photos or journal on them, but I've just tucked 3 of those here in this pocket. And I've just staggered them so you could see the different colors of the papers like this. Now in this first pocket here, I created a tag shape and I just cut this as one piece, and then I've angled the top corners to match the shape of my tag, blank on the back. Now I was thinking about putting some type of little twine or ribbon on here, kind of like this to match that, but I decided not to, just so that it's not chunkier than it already is. And then I did add some strips down here. I added some strips of this red paper I took and I cut 1/2-inch strips and I just put it across the pocket so that it had a little bit of color there whenever the tags are removed. On this pocket, I added the Merry and Bright strip here, and then I've tucked 3 cards in that pocket. And if you would prefer larger size photo mats here, you could do that as well. It's really just dependent on how you would prefer to add things to your pockets. Now for this one, I have a larger photo mat, so I've just cut that from the paper all as one, blank on the back for that photo. And you'll see here, there's that red paper strip. So when you take this out, you can see that. Now on the next, I just have one under my belly band here. Again, all one strip of paper. And in this pocket, I have another tag. Like the first one, it has that one strip of paper. The top corners are cut diagonally. And then on the back, I have 3 more of those little tiny photo mats or journaling cards, whatever you would prefer to use them for. I use my Merry Christmas sticker here. On this page, I've tucked 2 things behind the belly band. I did this one first, and I had this piece left over. It was the last part that I had left over after I did everything else, so I wanted to use it. So I just made a little mat to match that, and then I stuck it down in here. I don't like that they both say Noel, so I'm going to hide that by just putting this down a little bit further, so then you see the peace on earth and the Noel there. And then I've layered up some stickers here, and then in this final pocket, I've gone ahead and added these 3 cards. So there's quite a bit in this little booklet here. And so it will hold plenty of photos or journaling spots just to document your holiday season. And then bringing my little book box back in, I did go ahead and add a strip of paper here just to give it a little bit more decoration. Since this is all the papers I have left over, I'm going to set this here and you will see that it will still fit in my book box and close. So that is it for my little tiny mini album tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed making this project. I think it would be adorable in any Graphic 45 collection. So you can personalize this with any collection using any 8 sheets of their paper. If you do complete this tutorial with a different Graphic 45 paper collection, I would love to see your completed album. So if you are on the Graphic 45 Facebook group, I would love to see you share your photos there. Now, don't forget, if you are looking to purchase the completed project, I do have the book box and the album together for sale on my website. Just as a quick completed project, you can just pop your photos in there, do your journaling, and be done with your little Christmas pictures for the year. So all that information can be found in the description box below, as well as if you are interested in purchasing the little wooden book box here to make your own, I will have that linked in the description box below as well. So you can go ahead and check that out and follow along. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.